All right, today's story is called You're Late by Margaret Fletcher. Once upon a time, there was a businessman walking to work deep in his thoughts when a young person ran up and thrust a piece of paper into his hands and then ran on to the next person. Surprised, the man read, "Come at 5 p.m. sharp if you want to become enlightened," followed by an address across town. The man considered what it would be like to be enlightened, and he laughed at the thought, imagining himself in a state where his worldly cares would vanish, his life would be transformed, and he would live a life of ease and comfort. His thoughts suddenly changed. This is not real, and I have too much to do. And he continued on his way to work. Yet, as morning became afternoon, he kept thinking of the invitation. He found himself dreaming, wishing, and even craving to become enlightened. When the workday was nearly over, he decided to see what this enlightenment meeting was all about. After a long walk across town, he arrived at the address on the flyer. He knocked on the door and explained when the door opened, "I am here to be enlightened." The greeter stared blankly back at him and said with some force, "You're late." "The walk took me longer than I expected," the man said, and the door shut quickly as he finished speaking. How rude. Didn't they understand he'd been busy working all day? He knocked again. The door opened, and the same greeter answered, saying, "You're late." "I tried to get here on time," the man said. Again, the door shut quickly as he finished speaking. This was so unfair. All he wanted was to be enlightened. And it wasn't his fault there was so much traffic at each intersection as he tried to walk across town. Again, he knocked on the door, and again the greeter said, "You're late," and shut the door as he tried to explain why he was late. And this scenario just continued on, even though he pleaded with long eyes and with folded hands like this, "Please, I am here for enlightenment." It continued even when he complained, "You gave me the flyer. I want to be enlightened." Well, again and again, the greeter said, "You're late," and then shut the door. Dejected and sitting on the steps, the desire to be enlightened was simply too strong for him to let go. He knocked on the door one last time. He was greeted once more by the same greeter who said, "You're late." However, this time he simply answered, "Yes, I am." With that, the greeter opened the door wide and said, "Welcome. We're so glad you came tonight." The man was floored and bewildered. "Why are you letting me in now after I've been asking for the last 30 minutes? The greeter replied, "Acceptance is part of the path towards enlightenment. When you accepted that you were already late, you were ready to come in and learn." And so ends our story. Let us sing the children out to their own time here today.
Every Sunday, whatever lands in the collection basket doesn't stay here. We pass it along to organizations making a difference in our community or to support individuals in this congregation. It is one of the ways that we put our values into action. Folks in the sanctuary can text to give by following the number on the screen or can drop off a check or cash in the box at the back of the sanctuary. Our offering today goes to Ventura Homeless Prevention to help our struggling neighbors pay for the rent when temporary life problems leaves them facing eviction and terrified that they or their children will end up homeless. And though the need is greater than ever, donations like this one today means that the Ventura Homeless Prevention can be there to help. And so far this year, they have assisted 138 people. 53 of them, yes, 53 of them children. Among them were a 45-year-old single mom who missed work due to serious but treatable heart problems, a single mom who worked as a hospice nurse to sustain herself and her 4 children, but received no pay for her last month of work when the company where she was employed went out of business. A family of 5, consisting of a grandfather, daughter, son-in-law, and 2 grandchildren, ages 3 and 1, that faced eviction when the grandfather was injured and could not do his job as a forklift operator. In every case, the problems were fixed before Ventura Homeless Prevention stepped in. The mom with heart problems was well again and back to work. The hospice nurse had found a new job with a new company and was working. And in the third instance, both the son-in-law and daughter had taken on second jobs to replace the grandfather's missing income. It works. Over 90% of those who receive rental assistance are still housed 1 year later. So thank you for giving generously to make this important work possible. Thank you today for your generosity. Whether you have given, received, or volunteered through your time, all that is very much appreciated. And now for an announcement. There is a gray Tesla with a trunk lid open. Very important. So if you could please attend to that. Thank you. Joys and sorrows. Let's now pause to together we can acknowledge and appreciate all that makes up our lives. Today, we place stones in the water. As each stone touches the surface, ripples move outward, reminding us how we are connected to one another. If you would like to have a joy or sorrow shared, you can submit it through the link on our website or through our email at UUCV this week. Pastor Erik will now place one final stone in the water for all the joys and sorrows we shared and those yet unspoken in the silence, in the sanctuary of our hearts. May these joys and sorrows remind us that our lives are bound together and that in this community, no one carries them alone.
Please remain seated as we join each other in singing our meditation hymn, number 391, Voice Still and Small. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In dark and rain, sorrow and pain, still you remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. And one more time. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In dark and rain, sorrow and pain, still you remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
Our reading today is Closure by Amanda Gorman. To begin again isn't to go backwards, but to decide to go. Our story is not a circle carved, but a spiral shed shaped spinning, shifting inward, outward, like a lung on the bank of speech. Breathe with us. We disembark both beside and beyond who we were, who we are. It is a return and a departure. We spiral on, pushing up and out like a growing thing making its form from earth. In a poem, there is no end, just a place where the page glows wide and waiting. Like a lifted hand, poised and paused, here is our bond, unbordered by bone. Perhaps love is how it feels to breathe the same air. All we have is time, is now. Time takes us on. How we are moved says everything about what we are to each other, and what we are to each other is, if not everything.
I invite you now into a time of meditation. Place your feet upon the floor, close your eyes if you wish, and breathe in and breathe out, noticing your breath both as it comes in and it goes out. Breathe in and imagine you are standing on the ocean's shore. Breathe out and imagine a wave receding from the shoreline. Breathe in and imagine that wave as a feeling of loss. Breathe out and let that feeling go. Breathe in and understand that the retreat of one wave is exactly what makes room for the next. Breathe out and feel the incoming water rush around you. Know that as you breathe, the sacred breathes with you. Relax in this moment and just breathe. And so it ends. There's a certain amount of sadness, right, in that saying. It calls up a lot of things for us. We're at the end of the church year. That's not a sad thing, but it certainly brings up some other things. And so it ends when we know we're never going to hear another story about characters who we've fallen in love with in a series of books or in a TV show. Maybe it's the end of a school year where you had your favorite teacher ever and they are never going to teach you again. It might be a relationship that we valued comes to an end. We leave a career we loved. A life ends. And it is, in fact, easy to think of those things as losses because they are. But those losses might be something a little bit different. Our worship today has already suggested that. Our chalice lighting called us into new beginnings. Our call to worship reminded us that no ending is absolute. Amanda Gorman, in her poem, tells us that beginnings are not circles, but in fact spirals that don't have an end. So maybe endings aren't walls. Maybe they're doorways. I know we've been talking a lot about thresholds, and I promise you this is the last time we will ever do so. Maybe. I'll promise it, and then, the Rumi poem, come, come, whoever you are. We break our promises, and yet we still show up. In the call to worship, there was a line in there about endings, the quiet departures, the necessary closures, and the lessons etched into our hearts by time. And those are real things. Those are real endings. They're real things that make us feel, that we learn from, that we grow from. But it also talked about the new beginnings that happen, the unwritten chapters, the emerging possibilities, and the brave, fresh starts that await us. Sometimes those things, those new beginnings, can only happen because there was an ending. And, I brought up the end of the church year. Life isn't divided into good years and bad years. It's divided up into threshold moments that aren't based on a calendar, that aren't based on a day, that aren't based on a specific thing. They just happen when they happen. It could be graduating from school. Marriage and divorce, those are the twin thresholds, right? Not for everybody, but for some of us. We might get a diagnosis. One day we're healthy. The next day we know we're not. Retirement, you had that job that you loved that I mentioned, and then you don't have the job anymore. You're doing something different. We move. People pass. People are born. But we don't usually recognize the threshold moments as such right when we're in the middle of them, right? We recognize them afterwards when we think about the importance of that moment, because we're too busy living most of the time to sit there and intentionally be saying to ourselves, is this a threshold moment or not? How is this going to affect me in the future? Should I be writing it in my diary right now? I don't know. And it's a noble goal to be intentional about recognizing these seminal moments in our lives, but it isn't realistic. The church has thresholds too, right? Summer begins. It's a beautiful summer day today. And when summer begins, that's around the time that leadership changes. because we just had our decision-making meeting, our annual meeting. Maybe some new bylaws voted into. Things change right around this time for churches. For this one, we now start our worship calendar anew next Sunday. Churches have visitors. Before they visit, that's one state of being. They visit, that's another state of being. And they either stay or they don't stay, and they either become members or they don't become members. That's another state of being. Churches have old traditions that quietly fade away. And they have new ministries that suddenly appear. Ministries meaning activities, not human beings. And this Sunday is one of those thresholds, right? It's the last Sunday of the church year. We just had the annual meeting. There's some new people in leadership, on and on. But I think that it is a myth that we start over fresh when we get to the end of a cycle. Because we imagine it as like the fresh start is erasing. This is going to be a better year. Or not, whatever. It's going to be different. Like we've circumnavigated the earth and we're back to our starting point. Now we get to start over. Right? We do that on January 1st. This is the year I'm going to. Don't we all do that? No? No, I saw somebody shaking their head no, but I know that I do. Like, this is the year I'm going to have my taxes done at the end of February. It never happens. Monday morning, this is going to be a better week at work. I'm going to stay caught up this week. We switched jobs. This is going to be the job where I do the thing I've always said I was going to do. I'm going to be super successful at it. I'm starting over. I'm in a new relationship. I'm starting over. New church. Turns out all churches are almost identical. Doesn't matter how many churches you go to as you church shop. Church folk are church folk, and churches act like churches. Just saying. But we all know that our lives don't actually reset on January 1st. Nothing actually changes. It's just a date on a calendar. In the poem by Amanda Gorman, she says something wiser. She says, to begin again isn't to go backwards, meaning to restart, but it's to decide to go. So turning it from it is this reset into a decision to go into some new state of being. Instead, she creates an image of a spiral. Our story is not a circle carved, but a spiral shed-shaped spinning, shifting inward and outward ad infinitum. Right? It's a spiral. It doesn't have an ending and a beginning like a circle. Get to the end of a circle, the only thing you can do is keep doing the same path. But a spiral just keeps going on its way. It could go inwards, and then maybe we'd rather have an outward going spiral, but you get my point. And since my kids have been very upset by Oliver Tree's death recently, I have a quote from his song, Cowboys Don't Cry. We're riding around this carousel, getting dizzy till we're sick. Love is like a circle. There is no easy way to end, right? It's a circle. It doesn't end. It just keeps going. So when we change the metaphor to a spiral, we're kind of resetting how we're thinking about what does it mean to hit January 1st? What does it mean that this is the beginning of a new church year? Are we just going to repeat what we're doing because we're on that circle, or are we going to be on a spiral that goes out? And what does a spiral do as it goes outwards? It grows. And on that spiral, we carry everything with us. It doesn't reset. We carry heartbreak. We carry our life lessons with us. We carry our mistakes, and we carry our joys and our happinesses and everything that has happened in our lives. And as that spiral goes outwards and we grow, it neither erases who we were, nor does it erase the events that transpired previously on the spiral. And these are all things that are part of our growth. And, churches, they're on that spiral too, right? People might ask, well, when is the church going to be done changing? When is it going to stay the same for years and years and years? But again, it's not a closed circle, right? Every congregation changes. People arrive for the first time and they walk through the doors. That changes the church. People leave. They might move away. They might just be ready for something different. Children, they grow up and then they go off to college. And most of the time, they don't come back to church. It's just the way it is now. Longtime members, they discover that they have new gifts and they change their focus from what they used to do to what they want to do now. That's a good thing, but it's a change. Old ministries conclude. Things change. And then unexpected new ministries emerge, whatever those are. The congregation in 1 year is not going to be this exact congregation, and nor should it be. And that is, even if we tried to keep everything static, it wouldn't work. It would still be different. And it isn't a bad thing at all. That's just how life works. Right? From Amanda Gorman's poem, we spiral on, pushing up and out like a growing thing, making its form out of the earth. It's just how things work. Change is inevitable. Especially in a church, an intentional community, because as people come and go, there's change. So, like I said earlier, all this talk about thresholds, and we've been doing a lot about it, talking a lot about it lately. I've been thinking, because I've been saying, like, everything is a threshold moment, right? Everything. If everything is a threshold moment, then nothing is a threshold moment. That's the truth. It's just our lives. And that's something for us to think about is it really a threshold moment, or is it just what happens as we wake up every day and we go about our business? And yes, some of them are more important than others. It's also life. Every one of us has something ending at any given time. Maybe something obvious that everyone can see. Maybe something invisible that nobody knows about. Maybe we enter into a season of caregiving, or we have a grief that begins to soften. A new fear arises for us. Our identity might change. Who we are, how we think about ourselves in relation to the world. An old certainty that we had about how the world works goes away. Something changes it. A habit changes. Or perhaps an expectation about who we thought we needed to be. Sometimes we don't need a new beginning. What we need is to give ourselves permission to let something end. So thinking about this intentional community, what if over the next 12 months, someone who is visiting today discovers that they have found a spiritual home? That's a beginning. Someone who's always listened decides, I think I'm going to join the choir. I like that Una Familia. That was catchy. Someone grieving begins laughing again. Someone who always volunteers for everything learns to rest. Someone who never imagined being a leader discovers that they can lead. Children become youth, youth become adults, adults become elders, and this church becomes slightly more its future self. Not becoming different from who we are, but becoming more fully who we are called to be. Someone has said to me recently, or said in conversation, the church has always displayed a lot of courage. And I think that is true. I've been here now. This is the end of my 9th month. And courage is something that I see. And when that was said, I said, yeah. So we have to have the courage not to be afraid of when things change, whatever that is. And I'm not preparing you for some radical change. I'm not. I'm just saying it's inevitable that some things do change. Somebody new walks in the door. That's a change. Again, Amanda Gorman with her word, we spiral on, pushing up and out like a growing thing, making its form out of the earth. We're going to grow. We're going to change as we grow. The call to worship reminding us that no ending is absolute and no beginning is solitary. We are in this together, this intentional community. Our chalice lighting earlier telling us from every ending we are sent forth to make a new beginning. There's a pattern there. None of the readings today promised success, but they do promise companionship. There's no certainty in those readings, but there is community. And there's no guarantees, but no matter what, as people, as an intentional community, we grow. We change. And again, not in a circle, which is a closed thing, but in a spiral. Continuously growing as we carry our experiences with us. And it does take courage to grow, especially when there's no promises or certainty of a success, there's no guarantees. You know, you can buy a book from the UUA bookstore that'll say how to grow your church, how to change this, how to do this better. And there's no guarantee because you get that book that something is going to happen. But courage is something this congregation has in abundance and proven it time and time again over its 68-year history. And so it ends. We've talked a lot recently about change, about liminality, thresholds, beginnings, and endings. And the last year and a half has been a time of intense change for every single person in this room on Zoom, church members who aren't here today. For everyone here, you went through so many changes. For all of you. For me too. Now I'm here. I'm part of that change. But although change is inevitable, we have a chance now for some intentionality, for some introspection, intentional introspection about this church, about who we are as a community. And to be clear, I'm not talking about navel gazing, unless by navel gazing we mean checking to see whether our communal belly button has collected lint from old wounds, unexamined assumptions about who we are and how we are, and maybe we'll find an extra big lint ball from that one committee meeting about a decade ago that we still haven't emotionally released. No, what I'm talking about is the sacred work of asking who we are, who we want to be, and where we want to go. The faithful work of looking toward the future, a future that includes people who haven't walked through these doors yet, and that includes people who haven't even been born yet. And in order to do that, we need to say to this last church year this time of massive change, that there are good things that come out of it, but it doesn't matter. It is a lot. We need to say to that church year, and so it ends. And because it ends, something else may begin. Blessed be Shamaleh, and Amen.
I invite you all to rise in spirit or in body as you're able, as we accept our new challenge, singing number 368, Now Let Us Sing, which is in two parts. There's a lower part for your lower singers. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Let us sing to the power. One more time. Now let us sing. Now let us sing, sing, sing. Now let the voice be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the faith. And the upper part, sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the faith within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us part of the faith within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power, both parts. Now let us sing.
After services, please pass over the threshold and join us and spiral through the tables, starting with new beginnings, new relationships, and enjoy some bagels, coffee, and tea. Also, remember, for those of you who are new, we have the connecting table, so please come by and say hello. We have the welcome table, and for those of you who are brave enough to practice your Spanish, come and platicar en español at that table. And now, please join me in reading the words on the screen as we prepare to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
From Amanda Gorman's poem, Closure. In a poem, there is no end, just a place where the page glows wide and waiting, like a lifted hand, poised and paused. May we bless the endings that have brought us to this place. May we release what no longer serves each of us. May we welcome those just arriving. May we become people unafraid of thresholds. And may we remember that we are the page that glows wide and waiting for us to write the next page in our shared history. Blessed be Bishamale, and amen.